And here's where it's all going to go down tomorrow night. Lucas Oil Stadium. A year ago, it was the end of a dream for Ohio State, but this year it could be the launching pad toward the inaugural college football playoff. With that, we welcome you inside a warm and dry, thankfully, Lucas Oil Stadium here in downtown Indianapolis. I'm Jared Smalley.
And I'm Matt Barnes, holding down the fort here in Columbus. And by the time the Buckeyes get home early Sunday morning, they could have national championship playoff visions. More on that in a moment, though.
It was not just the return of one man, but rather one town. Cleveland celebrating a fresh start tonight as LeBron James and the reconstructed Cavaliers tip off what will be anything but a regular season.
Number 23, LeBron James!
The Cavs taking on the Knicks at the Q. Much of what you've seen in the past you saw again. The powder toss and then the power moves. On the fast break here, he fights through Carmelo Anthony for the bucket and the foul. Knicks, though, led through much of the second half. And in the final moments, Anthony leads the way for New York. He scores 25 points to lead him. All the fanfare ends in a loss. James manages 17 points against 8 turnovers, 95-90.
Buckeye fans, there is no need to fear. Underdog is here. He may be one of the more beloved superhero cartoon characters of all time, but he's not exactly the superhero the Buckeye football team would identify with most weeks. But they will this Saturday at Michigan State.
The show just got a lot cooler. Nick Gepper, Olympic medalist from the Sochi Winter Games, a bronze medal in skiing slopestyle. That thing is...
looks good, doesn't it?
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right, so I went to type in first place Cleveland Browns into this script, and it auto-corrected to last place. It's going to take some time for the universe to adjust, but the Browns do not plan on making their time atop the AFC North brief.
Well, good evening, Cabot and Colleen. You were exactly right as you set this up. It was a dynamite atmosphere here inside this building, one for which Blue Jackets fans have waited years to see it just like this, to see a big rival opponent come in a huge playoff-type atmosphere. And the Blue Jackets played inspired in those early moments. Here's how it went down.
The march is most definitely on for the Buckeyes, who are moving on to the Big Ten quarterfinals with the win over Purdue. But considering they shot just 36%, made 1 of 14 three-pointers, and missed 9 free throws, they know they have a lot of work to do.
60-59, ending the Buckeye season. Now, Jared Smalley, of course, was courtside for the game and the locker room when it ended. And Jared, just what a way for the Aaron Craft era to end at Ohio State.
Yeah, certainly a disappointing end, but you know what? This game fit the profile of the Ohio State season. Just not enough offense to get the entire team over the hump.
You never really erase this, the bad memories and mistakes made and chances missed against Virginia Tech, but that was week 2. Over here lies week 3. Here lies Ohio State's future, and it's the only thing the Bucs can immediately control. You know, we went out to Muirfield Village this morning a little arrogant, thinking we had this whole thing figured out. It was Rory McIlroy in a rout, and then we were
maybe it's just what I was hoping for. I don't know. Yeah, the Memorial Tournament's still very much up for grabs as we tee off on the weekend.
As recently as December 6th around 8:20 p.m., no one really knew what to expect from Cardale Jones. And then the Big Ten championship game happened. You know the result. And then this started to happen. Magazine covers nationally. Cardale Jones, no longer an unknown commodity, a player who people know all around the country, now getting ready for his second career start. Good evening, Mike. More than 108,000 people were here at the stadium tonight, the biggest crowd ever to see the Buckeyes play here in the Horseshoe. And they saw Ohio State do some special stuff offensively. More than 700 yards of offense gained in this game, 45 first downs. That sets a new school record as the Buckeyes get the victory. Let's show you exactly how they did it as the Buckeyes emerged from the smoke tonight to face their in-state rivals from Cincinnati. But it was the Bearcats who caught fire first.
Yeah, you see a football score like 50-28. You can assume there were lots of highlights in the game. But maybe the best highlight from today's OSU-Cincinnati game was not even shown on TV, but we can show it to you now. A fan runs onto the field, and former Buckeye linebacker Anthony Schlegel grabs him and slams him to the ground, letting him know that was not a good idea.
Sports director Jared Smalley is live at the Memorial Tournament with an update on the second round. What a turnaround for him, Jared.
Yeah, incredible drama out here. You know, 5 years ago, Paul Casey ranked as the 3rd best golfer in the world. Today, he ranks 97th on that same chart. Kind of speaks to the roller coaster nature of this sport.
I mean, really, the only thing you can say is wow, and just how unreal is this series. 4-3 the final in all 4 games, and the Jackets find a way again, down 3-0 to somehow pull it in and get a victory. This place is quiet now, but I tell you, just about, what, a half hour ago, this place was going crazy.
We sent Jared Smalley to Cleveland to be, well, well among the people for the King's homecoming. He joins us now live. I am sure, Jared, that town is just aglow.
Yeah, Dwayne, you know Cleveland very well. I've never seen this city so alive. The downtown area is just on fire right now because of a decision that came 4 months ago. LeBron James announced he'd be returning to the Cleveland Cavaliers. The building banner is back, slightly updated, of course.
This is one of the greatest moments in Cleveland.
He's back, baby! He's back!
This is his home.
He's a hometown boy.
I am so happy that LeBron's home.
LeBron's coming back home.
He's coming home. He's home. We're good.
But they haven't come home, man. It's just, I mean, there's never been a story like it, honestly.
Do they win the championship?
I wouldn't guarantee that. If they get Kevin Love. It's Cleveland. We still got to be realistic here.
Now, from NBC4 Columbus, this is Friday Night Live.
You know, it's been an all right week in Cleveland. Republican National Convention coming in 2016. Tribe playing well. And the highest profile athlete in American sports said today he is coming home. A story so big, we sent Matt Barnes to Cleveland to cover LeBron James' return. Matt is live there tonight. Good evening, Matt.
LeBron's back, baby. Let's go.
Good evening, Jared. We are just not too far away from the stadium and, of course, the queue. And as you can see, the crowd behind us pretty excited about LeBron James.
You are looking live at a unique science experiment. How many Ohio State students can fit in Mirror Lake when it's 30 degrees outside? The annual jump continues on campus as we speak. Of course, it's one of many great Ohio State and Michigan Week traditions going strong tonight. Now, speaking of mirrors, the new college football playoff rankings mirror last week's rankings. No changes in the top 7, so Ohio State staying put at number 6. UCLA climbs up to 8th with Ole Miss loss this past week. Michigan State back into the top 10. Some huge games this coming week. TCU is at Texas Thursday. Mississippi State, of course, plays Ole Miss. And Auburn and Alabama meet Saturday, which leads us to the other great rivalry Saturday. While the Buckeyes stand as a heavy favorite over that team up north, that team can play some defense. The Wolverines ranked 9th in the nation in total defense, 9th against the run. They're led by linebacker Jake Ryan. The Buckeyes say they're going to be challenged.
They're a good football team. They got athletes and they got mismatch problems for everybody that they play. But at the same time, I mean, I like our checkers better than theirs, and we're going to match or surpass their toughness and go out and handle the business that we got to take care of.
And tonight we learned Buckeyes sophomore defensive end Joey Bosa has been named one of 3 finalists for the Bednarik Award, which goes to the nation's top defensive player. Big honor for Bosa, who leads the Big Ten in sacks and tackles for loss. He's also a finalist for the Lombardi Award. A fourth of the way into the season, the Blue Jackets are already skating on thin ice, tied for last place in the NHL, still awaiting Brandon Dubinsky and Mark Letestu's return. Back home tonight, trying to avoid a 4th straight loss. Winnipeg Jets in town. We're going to show you the opening 9 seconds of the game as it played out, because that's how long it took Winnipeg to score. Brian Little beat Sergei Bobrovsky 9 seconds in. Jackets, they get even later. Jordan Leopold puts it on net, but the Jackets could not keep pace. Bob here, he gets screened, and Andrew Ladd flings it past for a 3-1 lead. Ryan Johansson scores for the Jackets to get to 3-2, but no closer. Jets win it 4-2. Jackets in rough shape right now.
It's frustrating. You know, we just can't let it get to us right now, and you know, stay focused. There's, you know, it's easy to point fingers when things like situations like these are going on.
Yeah, well, we got to figure it out. We have to figure it out. It's everyone. It's not just players. It's coaches. It's all of us that are in the room.
Finally, Ohio Bobcats trying to win their 6th game of the season and become bowl eligible. Regular season finale against their rivals from Miami. Cats down 21-0. They come all the way back. Final 38 seconds, 38 yards on the deep ball. Brandon Cope, that catch sets up kicker Josiah Yazdani. He can win it as the time expires, and he does. Stand up and cheer. 24-21, Bobcats beat their rivals. They get to 6 wins. Could be headed to a bowl game.
Oh,
I did hear Matt Barnes scream.
Stand up and cheer. Cheer loud and long for old.
We're gonna
Unfortunately, I'm used to singing
we're gonna
that
go
song.
to break and let that just go on.
Continue to.
Can I get on the voice?
Oh, wait.
Now 2 games of Central Ohio interest in the high school playoffs.
State semifinal Friday. We start with a young man who may play quarterback for the Buckeyes in future Michigan games, Athens Joe Burrow.
And he led his undefeated Bulldogs against Akron St. Vincent St. Mary in the Division III state semifinals. This game over in New Philadelphia. They fell behind 14-0, but here he comes. Burrow to Ryan Lerman, 2-yard score. Athens down 14-7. Third quarter, Irish QB Dom Davis picked off by Lorman, and that sets up a 6-yard TD pass from Burrow to Lorman again.
You know, we're all chasing something. The chase is always on.
The chase is everything.
2 words fuel Ohio State: the chase. A motto adopted a year ago to represent the desire to reach a goal, a championship. And December 6th, Ohio State's chase ended in a Big Ten championship. But now a new chase begins, the biggest of them all. And it starts against the nation's #1 ranked team.
There's something bigger than that now. We're chasing a national championship. Bama stands in our way.
You're not going to get to the prize unless you take care of business in this game. This is the first ever college playoff. This is a big deal.
Welcome to Buckeye Nation, the chase for a championship. And you're looking at one of the most famous streets in the world. Bourbon Street's always a destination for New Year's Eve, but with the Ohio State and Alabama fan bases, boy, this place is a madhouse tonight.
And those folks will need some time to recover, because tomorrow night, just before 9 o'clock Eastern time, it happens inside the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. 2 of the Mercedes class programs in college football will score off in a truly historic game.
That's a great way to put it. We're glad you've joined us here this evening for our Buckeye Nation special, the chase for a championship. Jared Smalley and Matt Barnes. We're here in the heart of New Orleans, just off Jackson Square in the French Quarter. Boy, we got a great show ahead.
Absolutely, and it's New Year's Eve, right? Couldn't be any better than that. If there's one advantage Ohio State has in this game, it might be their defensive line. Joey Bosa, Michael Bennett, what do they have to do to disrupt Blake Sims?
Well, Michael Bennett has played some of the best football of his Ohio State career. 4 years he's been a contributor, and he was amazing in the Wisconsin game.
Bubba Watson.
At 1:40 p.m. Sunday, the crowds roared for the tournament leader. Those crowds would get an up-close look at Bubba Watson as the afternoon unfolded. He scattered shots at 7, at 9, and at 15, a tee shot into a backyard, which a dog discovered. He ended up 1 shot out of a playoff.
You know, it's tough. I made 1 bad decision. If I hit the forward off the tee instead of the driver on the par 5, you know, we make 5 and we win by 1, but I made a double, so we lost by 1.
Then the curious case of Kevin Na, who posted a blistering 64, then waited more than 2 hours to see if his score would stand. He then hit his first shot in the playoff into the water at 18. As for Hideki Matsuyama, his approach into 18 in the playoff pegged a woman sitting near the green. It was actually a fortunate break for Hideki, an easier chip, leading to ultimately the winning putt.
Boy, to hit it in the water at 16 and then turn around and make up another bogey there at 17, I wasn't sure. But then to be able to birdie 18, it turned the day all completely around.
And one more folk tale from this victory for Matsuyama. When he hit his tee shot at 18 in regulation, this is the driver he used, and he broke it just like that. So he actually had to use a 3-wood when he hit his tee shot at that same spot in the playoff. It worked out just fine. It turned into a Memorial Tournament victory. At Muirfield Village, Jared Smalley, NBC4.
And we don't give a damn about the whole state of Michigan.
This is not another game. This is the game.
We don't give a damn for the whole state of Michigan.
It's the game. But whatever you do in this game is immortalized forever. You gotta go fight. You gotta go win this game. We just really don't like him. I love being a part of it. Every time I hear that fight song, every time I see those damn helmets, not great feelings come up, I guess.
It is good to have the Schembechlers back. It happens tomorrow at high noon for the 111th time, Ohio State and Michigan. And for the considerably fewer number of times. It is the Beat Michigan edition of Football Friday Night.
Of course, coming up, the high school state semifinals. Got the basketball Buckeyes too and the Blue Jackets. But first, well, you know what's first.
It is a special week on campus. All the signage with the letter M's taped over. Tuesday night's jump in Mirror Lake drew about 14,000 students. The Buckeyes went through senior tackle at practice Thursday. The marching band was at practice this past Sunday night. It all builds up to high noon tomorrow. The Buckeyes a 21-point favorite.
Now, on the season schedules printed through the Woody Hayes Center, you'll notice no mention of Michigan, and said it's that team up north. The animosity of the rivalry just lives on.
Now, Blakeaxton gives a motivational speech few people could match. You may remember Blake's name. 5 years ago, he contracted an incredibly rare illness which made local and national headlines. He survived, and then some. And soon he may become a world champion.
Everything around you is amplified. The sights, the sound, you know, because everything's so quiet. So all your senses are sort of heightened. Gotcha. You got to be willing to get up earlier than the other guy. Maybe cliche thing is I'm willing to go one stroke further than he is. Morning, Coach.
When the oars pierce through the river, Blakeaxton's home.
Rowing to him is like walking to us.
5 years ago, this image seemed impossible.
For the last 5 years, really, I didn't think I would get back into rowing.
Blake was a healthy, thriving high school senior at Upper Arlington, an all-state rower likely headed to Harvard. 2 months before graduation, the plan changed. It started March 16th, 2009, after a routine pickup basketball game.
My calf was kind of sore, like, you know, muscle soreness like every athlete's felt. Really nothing extraordinary about it. Went to bed, got up the next morning, okay, it's a little worse, maybe it's, you know, maybe I did something to it. And then got up Monday morning and I couldn't walk on it. And it was starting to get red and swollen. I was like, you know, okay, holy smokes, this is something I got to take care of.
Haxton's condition deteriorated swiftly. He was diagnosed with necrotizing fasciitis, or the flesh-eating disease, an extremely rare bacteria infection which can quickly kill an infected patient.
Chances of survival were in the single digits, if that. No one even wanted to put a number on it. Like, just basically all the doctor said, yeah, say goodbye, because there's really not any realistic hope left.
We planned his funeral 3 times, and the first time we planned it, he was still at Riverside. It was kind of mind-numbing to be facing it, and you know, you just had to breathe in and out and keep doing what was required.
Blake was transported from Riverside Hospital to Ohio State Medical Center to utilize a stronger life support machine. It bought Blake time. He endured the amputation of both legs, 21 surgeries, 100 days in the hospital, but most importantly, survival.
Probably for me, the hardest part of the entire thing was coming home, believe it or not, emotionally. 2 weeks before I got sick, I bought a new pair of running shoes, and they were still in the hallway where I had set them down next to the door when I left. And I was just like, you gotta be kidding me. Like man, that hurts.
Haxton enrolled at Ohio State that year and later graduated with a degree in finance. He's currently in law school, but a major part of Blake's life remained part of his past. The rower within him lived too.
When I started working out again rowing, it was purely on the rowing machine. It took a few weeks before I started looking around at the U.S. Rowing's website, the governing body for the United States on the rowing side.
Last month, Haxton arrived for his first major para-rowing competition at the U.S. Nationals. He had no credentials or adaptive racing experience. All he did was win the Arms and Shoulders 1,000-meter sculls race.
B. Haxton has already crossed the line.
By 20 seconds.
I knew I was going to have to, you know, hopefully row well and then get through it on fitness. Which worked out.
Tremendous athlete, has a great heart, lung capacity, fearless competitively.
At least 3 mornings a week, Blake returns to the calm water of the Scioto with his high school coach and 2 of his best friends as he trains for the para-rowing World Championships next month in Amsterdam.
Grab the front end, nice and easy, push the boat.
A 5 a.m. wake-up call gets answered easily when you can witness a miracle.
I want to be out here with Blake, and I want to be a part of it. One of the best parts of my life, to be able to, you know, come out here and enjoy this with him, and, you know, kind of brings us to peace being out here.
You know, I have my good days and my bad days, but, you know, my good days I know are when I'm keeping the perspective of, hey, you know, I'm lucky just to be here. And that's really, really positive.
How about you? Ryan, thanks for coming to the beautiful backyard facility here at NBC4. We got a little science experiment for you here. What's your fastest slap shot, you think?
Somewhere in the 90s. I'm not sure.
90s to 100 maybe?
Not bad. Yeah,
okay.
You know what would be cool, Jared?
What?
Let's show our viewers how fast it is and what it looks like to have a Ryan Johansson slap shot thrown right at him.
Coming right at you?
That'll be cool.
We can't possibly do that, can we?
Yes, we can.
All right, so you're up.
Let's do it.
Whenever you're ready.
Oh, man.
Oh, so that's how powerful Ryan Johansson is.
That's a Johansson slap shot. There it is. Well, this experiment ended quickly. Now, in our lifetimes, we've really only known two famous Conans. One made us laugh, the other was a barbarian. Meet a new Conan. This one is a pastor, but he has more talents. He can run a long, long way, and he's motivated by some important causes. He's a true foot soldier.
I'm doing about 60 to 75 miles a week.
Preparing his body and mind.
It will undoubtedly be the greatest physical test I've ever had to push through.
To run a 100-mile race while serving his other foot soldier duties.
Jesus was one of those, man, he was such an amazing teacher. The hope here is that we can inspire other people to push farther than they've ever pushed before.
Few pastors go the extra mile like Conan Stevens. He keeps a Steve Prefontaine poster in his office. He's the lead pastor of C3 Church in Pickerington, a church which has grown from 20 members to 700. And next month, he's bringing his two passions together. He'll attempt to run the Burning River 100-mile endurance race through northern Ohio.
You know, you start at 5 a.m. on Saturday, and you run all day, and it's in the middle of the night when you've been running for hours and hours that, you know, your mind starts playing tricks. It's in the darkness. They say if you can make it till the sun comes up, you're going to be all right.
He's not just running for fun, he's also running to support two charities, including a missionary group which supports educational needs in Ethiopia. He says it's part of his mission to serve. It's painful, but it pays off.
And you have all kinds of aches and pains, but it's one of those, it's part of it. And you just got to know your body. So a lot of ice, a lot of prayer, and a lot of ibuprofen.
That's great. That ought to be on a wall somewhere. Ice, prayer, and ibuprofen. That can't go wrong. He's almost 40 years old, been doing these ultra marathons, triathlons. He's done 2 Ironmans.
Wow, putting feet to face.
But this is crazy stuff.
And we will be right back.
Very impressive.
Zach, let's start with you. Little background on where you are. We understand in April you became ill and eventually got the diagnosis of cancer, leukemia. Catch us up. How the treatment's been going and what's the latest?
Treatment's going really good. I've got through the first month of admission. That's 7 days of chemo. I made it through that pretty good. And then a month after that, hopefully I have my bone marrow transplant.
Well, 70 years ago, perhaps the bravest generation of Americans stormed the beaches of Normandy in the heat of World War II. More than 9,000 Allied soldiers were lost that day. Precious few of the men who fought in that war can still share their story today. One of those men fighting in World War II happened to be a Buckeye legend.
I just simply remember being in that circumstance, in that situation, freezing to death, cold as hell, and wondering if I would ever survive.
Before Charles Surrey reported for duty in the United States Army, he reported for school at Ohio State. In 1942, Surrey won All-American honors as a lineman for Ohio State's first ever national championship team. He stood 6 feet tall and weighed 200 pounds as a tackle.
I felt pretty good that as a lineman that I was voted the most valuable player, not a halfback, but a lineman.
That tenacity served him well in combat.
The largest force of
Surrey was not deployed to Normandy, but later that year, he fought in heavy combat during the Battle of the Bulge. He earned a Bronze Star for heroism in battle.
The D-Day thing just is incredible to me, to believe that these guys jumped off a boat and then walked right into machine gun fire, you know. And then, of course, the paratroopers that went behind the lines. Every guy that was at D-Day that once on that beach should have gotten at least a Bronze Star. But they didn't, you know. It was just, it's circumstance.
When Surrey returned home, he became a pioneer in computer art and graphics. He laid the groundwork for what's become a massive industry. Now at age 91, he still works on animation projects. He stands as one of the great Buckeyes of all time who helped lead the nation in one of its toughest times.
Those of us who served in the military feel some of the things that are very personal.
Very hard to wrap up his life in 90 seconds.
But you're going to have more for Red, White, and Boom.
We will. Red, White, and Boom. We're going to hear a little bit more about his incredible personal story. The achievement in computer science alone
that's
is worth
amazing.
the time.
All
It's
right.
just incredible.
Thanks, Jared. Great story. And we'll be back with a last look at the forecast.
1 in 68 American children are diagnosed with autism, but the young man you're about to meet is 1 in a million.
Very, very true. He is an athlete, he is a son, and he's an inspiration.
A full bore for 2 minutes, okay? You got it in you? Are you ready to wrestle?
I hope so.
All right.
It would be nice if I could be as good as the other wrestlers, so I can beat tough kids.
All right, you ready? Let's go!
The mechanics of how Caden Hooks does this
Get that leg!
defy normal logic.
He's an inspiration to me every day. Stuff he's been through, stuff he continues to deal with. There you go! Switch it! Switch it!
One of my problems is like scrapping, like making things up along the way and controlling my emotions.
Caden, take a couple deep breaths, buddy.
It defies logic, especially when you know what he's wrestled during the 10 short years of his life.
He was 21 months old, and he started falling out of the patio door. He went to give him a carrot, and he couldn't reach it. He would miss it, so his depth perception was missing.
Before Caden's second birthday, he was diagnosed with a rare condition called retinoblastoma, eye cancer. Only 60 new cases are diagnosed in the United States each year.
When they found his cancer, it was so full grown that you could actually start seeing the tumor budding out the front of his eye. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Caden endured chemotherapy and eventually the complete loss of his vision.
Just constantly in and out of the hospital.
Being blind it's not actually bad. I can still get around. Now that I think about it, it should be an experience to build faith.
Faith goes a long way, and it's tested frequently. As Caden grew up, his parents recognized their son displayed some awkward social characteristics. He was soon diagnosed with ADHD and Asperger's syndrome. Yet for Caden,
They show you the puppies.
his setbacks shined a light on his strengths.
Because I thought being blind was walking around in darkness, and obviously it's not, because he's the most spiritually full of life kid I know.
At home, he plays piano. And he's always seemingly in training.
I'm gonna do 10 of these.
Living room push-ups and pull-ups, just part of the daily routine to prepare for this.
He garners some extra attention at meets just because people see the white cane, they see him wrestling in a different stance because they have to maintain contact, and I think that draws the attention to him initially, but then when they see how hard he's wrestling, you know, it's kind of inspiring for them to see that also.
Caden began Pee-wee wrestling under careful supervision.
Soon as you get that leg in between them, then you got your 2 points right there.
That might not be a total advantage, but it's an inspiration.
Wrestling united Caden with his new friend, Brandon Cannon, who helps Caden hone his skill.
If I can help others, then I can help not only myself, but help others become good. What do you think, Brandon? Do you think I've improved? Yep. Improved a lot. He thinks so.
Get your head in it, okay?
At this tournament, Caden and his friends are helping raise money for a charity called Wrestling Against Autism, using their sport to open others' eyes.
Some parents probably have kids who act strange, who act outside of normal kids' behaviors, and well, with autism awareness, they'll know why they're acting like that. Who I really am is Caden Hooks, the individual first, who happens to have Asperger's and visual impairment.
To know as his father all the things that he's gone through, and to see him on the mat just as a normal kid wrestling is really cool. We always learn something, right? Okay? It's not about winning or losing, remember? It's about getting better. We get better each day, right?